Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. And as always, I am joined by the exile dub, Tommy Lyons, from his Yall base, and his near neighbour. The Drakester has been drafted in as a late substitution. We'll be talking everything that is Conn and Kirby Memorial. We'll also be taking a look at the Shelburne Open 600 and whatever else happening over the weekend. A busy weekend, Tommy. Some great racing, but of course the Conn and Kirby was very much the feature.
Yeah, plenty to keep an eye on all the way around the tracks. But yeah, the Conn and Kirby was it was terrific racing. We started off, I couldn't have started off in any better. Explosive Boy right back to his very best with a huge clock, and the machine once again showing terrific pace. But we had some greyhounds that were beaten in the heats on Saturday night, who I think could still have some degree of a say in the outcome of the competition. They enhanced their reputation certainly. So yeah, it was back on track. I was a little bit disappointed with round two. I thought maybe we lost a few greyhounds that might have, maintained an even higher quality. But back on track the other night, and with serious racing, and we've got two good semi-finals set up.
Yeah, two great semi-finals to look forward to. Barry, I'm sure you were enthralled by the action at Limerick on Saturday.
Yeah, fantastic action. Loving this competition once again this year. Great racing in Shelbourne Park as well, and below in Kilcohan Park, the Greyhound and Petworld Super Sprint, and the Select Stakes in Waterford in midweek. So a lot happening and all fantastic racing.
Yeah, sure is. Of course, you missed the stairs in Kilkenny on Friday night, and we had the Puppy Oaks in Shelburne also. So loads going on at the moment. But as we said, we're going to start with the Conn and Kirby Memorial. That'll be the focus of most of our attention here this morning. Explosive Boy, Tommy, you did touch upon it. This was his return to that opening round form. You suggested last week that the 7-1 was certainly gone on the big side. He's now 2-1. You were 100% spot on. I hope you took a bit of the 7-1.
Unfortunately, no. But it was kind of predictable. We knew that the draw, even though he's in trap 6, it wasn't that bad a draw. We had kind of 4 slowish or moderate starters on the inside. You had Scarty Yank, who we expected to break and maybe be a buffer to the rest of the pack, the stronger stayers in the race. And I suppose the Boy get first run, and maybe Scarty Yank would help him, maybe slowing down the stayers get coming from behind. As it happened, unfortunately for Scarty Yank and his connections, we missed it completely. Inexplicable. I don't know what happened, but he just missed it completely. And Explosive Boy was just brilliant. He wasn't quite back. I think, as you said, he wasn't quite back to the sections of the first round, but he was still like 2 or 3 lengths clear in a matter of strides. So deeply impressive. And like the fact that the machine was able to come from behind off a slow start and get to within half a length of a dog doing 28.15 was pretty phenomenal too. So serious performances, seriously fast dogs, and Explosive Boy is a deserving favourite now, around about 2-1. I think that's around about the right price.
Yeah, once the draw was made and he got trap 1 for the semi-finals, he was always going to be either disputing favourite or clear favourite. I think he should be clear favourite, but he is disputing favouritism with some firms with Sing Along Sally. But by all accounts, if he hits the lids again next week, he's going to be in the final in a short price. Barry, Explosive Boy, most impressive. 4:12 sectional. He did 4:08 in the opening round, but he's out in 6. He has to track across. That's where he's after losing a few spots. It's what you want in a racing greyhound, isn't it?
Most definitely, yeah. He's been one of the stars of the competitions, no doubt. He has produced the 2 best performances in my eyes in the event. And, I just love the way this greyhound has been handled. The couple of sprints around Thurles prior to the event, posting 17.68 down there for 3:30. That's quite a run. Patrick Guilfoyle, no stranger to big race success. He highlighted this greyhound as one to watch in all the big 5-5 yard events earlier this year when I spoke to him on the podcast, and he's delivering the goods at the moment, and going in that performance, he's going to be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, he sure will. We'll get to the remaining qualifiers in a moment. Just Tommy, Explosive Boy, he sort of first came to our radar in the National Puppy Stake, but he was very much a work in progress at that stage. He was taking on the likes of Ballymac Ariel and Billy's Diva, and by all accounts, he wasn't able to live with them from the sort of halfway home, but he's definitely strengthened up. The other night, it looked like the machine was probably going to win between the last 2 bends, but he dug in, got there to the line, and as you said, a massive run by the machine in second spot. He's going to be hard enough to keep out the final himself.
I think he is, Ian. I think when you can come off slow sections and do what he did to get to 28.18 in defeat, I think you need bad luck to be kept out of any competition, to be kept out of the first 3 at any level. I mean, that's the quality of the pace that he has. In fairness to Pat Guilfoyle with the winner, he's had he's kept him quite busy this year. He ran him in a few sprints to prep him, just to maybe strengthen him up, bring him forward fitness-wise. He's pretty much brought him cherry, absolutely spot on for this competition, and it's working out well for him. I do feel a little bit for the connection to Scarty Yank, who dipped under 130 3 times in a row, and then the other night 147, and all of a sudden he's out of the competition. That is a pity, because Scarty Yank is a very capable dog. But no, Explosive Boy has been well handled, and obviously it's an €80,000 competition to the winner. You have to have them in peak condition. You do risk a little bit. We saw inexperienced dogs go out the other night. We saw that they just hadn't maybe enough experience, and when you do something slightly wrong, you're gone at this level. So Pat Kilfoyle has done a really, really good job with Explosive Boy. There's not a couple of runs and anything can happen in them, but he couldn't have done any more with Explosive Boy. I have to say, I've been quite impressed with the way he's been campaigned for this.
Yeah. Luminous Light was third. You were talking about lightly raced greyhounds. Well, this fellow was having just his 5th career start. He did nothing wrong. He was a clear second into the third bend, at which point the machine sort of swept around the outside between the last 2 bends to go on for second spot. But Luminous Light, 28.36. He gets a virtual solo, but he's clearly a greyhound going the right way, lads. There's a lot to like about him. Either or.
Yeah, there is a lot to like about him. He did get a solo. There wasn't an awful lot of early pace on the inside. If we're analysing it deeply, there wasn't an awful lot of early pace on the inside. So there was an opportunity for one of the 4 greyhounds to pop out and get a solo. What I would have thought in behind 6 and 5, in behind Explosive Boy and Scarty Yank. Now Scarty Yank missing it, obviously left an opportunity to turn second. But Luminous Light, as you said, it was quite impressive in the sense that it extremely lightly raced and bound to improve again. You'd imagine this competition is coming a little bit soon, in the sense that of winning it. But I say connections are loving what's happening. Like, getting to the semi-finals is a huge achievement. And who's to say he won't qualify for the final?
Yeah, he's only 3 lengths behind an absolutely foot perfect winner, Barry. If you're a connection with Luminous Light, you're going, he's having his 5th start. Like, we can start dreaming here.
Definitely. I wouldn't mind having him, and I'm sure young trainer Dennis Lennon is getting a great kick out of this. And of course, he qualified in Shelburne in 28.42. So he's a greyhound that's destined for big things. So look, he's in the semi-final now. He's open to plenty of improvement, and I'd be very happy with him. And just in terms of the machine, delighted he's still in the competition. Look, I think everyone had their own opinion on him last week, but I think a pup should always, get one chance. And he ran a stormer in defeat, and ran on strongly into the pickup to take up the running. So, as I said, I'm just happy he's in the competition.
Yeah, the Matthews have obviously thought an awful lot of him. They brought him over to Toaster for the Puppy Derby over there, and he only had a handful of races at that stage, so they clearly think a lot of him. It's easy to see why he is an unbelievable engine, and he is there next week, as we said. Just the 2 that went out, we have mentioned Scarty Yank. The other 2, Rural Star, just didn't seem to happen for him at Limerick, lads. Just didn't produce anything like his Clonmel form. I think he'll be happy to leave the track, and Flyers Iniesta ran so well in the opening 2 rounds, just didn't happen for him the other night, found traffic, and that was to end his chances. But they're 2 nice dogs, and we'll be seeing more of them in the future, especially Rural Star. I think we didn't see anything like his best form around Limerick. On so to the second heat, and here, of course, Ballymacbelvold once again showing all his power and pace. A slightly fortuitous winner, but at the same time, also a mighty impressive winner. Got the look on the opening bend, but after that, it was all about pure pace and power. Ballymacbelvold, we learned nothing new, really. We know he's an exceptionally fast greyhound. We saw that in Tralee, but the other night was pretty special from halfway.
Yeah, he's a real powerhouse, isn't he? And he has another big future ahead. And he's been handed some tough draws in the competition so far, 3, 4, 4. Another tough draw next week. He's a greyhound that's crying out for the inside. And once the gap opened up from there at the opening bend, I think the writing was on the wall, and he really powered home to win in 28.42. And he's another superstar for the Liam Dowling kennel. He'd get into the final and got an inside draw. He'd be in with a big chance.
Yeah, he sure would. He was passing Bombardier into the third bend, Tommy. Bombardier lost a lot of ground at the third bend. My own take is that I think the dog went by him so quickly that he sort of checked the stride going, where did he come from? As I said off air, it's like a fella driving down the road. He sees nothing in the rearview mirror, and all of a sudden someone goes by him doing 150. I think that's what happened Bombardier. I think he literally just got a shock, took a check, and because the other dog's moving so fast, the gap opened up so quickly that I think it was enhanced in terms of the how much Bombardier actually lost. I think he ran well, is what I'm saying. I just think it looked worse than it was at the third bend.
I think even though he did 28.77 in defeat, I think he actually ran a little bit better than that in some ways. He behaved extremely well to hold his position at the first bend. He could easily have been turned sideways. He could easily have kind of ducked out at that stage. I thought he held his ground well. I don't know what happened from, say, maybe halfway to the crown of the third bend, where he seemed to lose most of his ground, which was unusual. Maybe time will tell us that he was just being passed by an extremely fast dog, maybe like a Derby dog potentially in Ballymacbelvolt. I don't know. I was slightly disappointed with him down to the third bend with Bombardier, but I love the way he finished again, which suggests to me that it was just things didn't go right for him. And as you say, maybe the dog getting up his inside, just kind of shocked him a little bit. He was just below himself in that part of the race, but the fact that he picked up again would give me encouragement to think that he can be right back to his best next week. He probably doesn't have the early pace, and he broke as well as he's ever going to break probably the other night, and just hadn't got the early pace to get into the bend really clearly. And maybe that's where he's going to lack very slightly. It's only small. It's a half a length. It's probably all it is going into the bend. And he needs that if he's going to win. Ballymacmurlin showed huge pace to get up into second place on that crown of the bend, where I said that where Bombardier lost his ground, and then Bombardier just stayed by him again. The three good dogs. Ballymacbelvolt, this might be a crowning of him. He needed probably another win, and just to get a clear run up that straight and just see how good he is. So maybe he can build on this. He has a horrific draw next week. The only thing is that the machine isn't a tight railer, and if the machine gets in front of him, which he probably will early, he'll probably move a little bit middle to wide down the back in the hole. I can give Ballymacbelvolt a chance if he can get a clear run down the back. I'm just not convinced. I think he might struggle to qualify next week, but this will be a good test of the dog.
Yeah, sure, will be a good test of him. Just on Bombardier there, I think I said it after the opening round. I think he's one of those dogs. I think he's a really strong running greyhound. He's a good starter and he stays really strongly. I just think he's probably not really top class 2 to 3 or even into the bend. I think if he was in any other kennel, he'd be one of their leading lights. I think in Pat Buckley's kennel, he's probably number 6 or 7 on their list. I think that's where he is. I think he's a very good starter and he stays on strongly. I just think he probably lacks that yard down the back where you really need it against the top greyhounds. That's my take on it. Ballymacmurlin, in contrast, has it down the back, but he doesn't seem to be coming home, considering his brother Belvolt's an absolute flying finisher. Of the rest, Envoy ran off the corner. He caused traffic for Derby's Delight. He was so desperate and lucky. He was in a lovely pitch into the corner. The way he finished last week, he looked an absolute certain qualifier, got badly done. Epic News was on the outside going into the third bend, was in a qualifying spot at that point, but with the two Ballymacs coming up his inside, he really had little chance there, and he sort of found himself on the outside of 3 nearly off the third bend, and that was the end his hopes. Barry, of those that didn't qualify, was there Derby's Delight the unlucky dog?
Yeah, definitely. Very unlucky. Look, I think any dog that gets to the third round is a dog with huge ability and class, and we'll see lots of greyhounds coming out of this competition going forward, winning big races. So I wouldn't mind having one in the quarter final or the semi final. It's just a fabulous event, and there's so many classy sorts in the event.
Yeah. If you had to pick one of those 3 qualifiers that's most likely to win it, which would you pick, Tommy?
To win it, I don't fancy any of them, I'll be quite honest about it. If I had to pick one of them, I would. I don't know. I honestly don't fancy any of the 3 of them, because I don't see where they're going to get the run. Maybe what you said is exactly right about Bombardier. Maybe he just lacks that bit down the back. I think into the bend is more crucial. I think that's where you're going to lose a race at the very top level, where there's no quarter given. That little 25 yards into the bend. I maybe Ballymacbelvolt, if he's going to one that's going to probably improve most over the next 2 weeks. Ballymacmurlin is extremely fast, but just isn't putting it together yet.
Yeah,
but I think
he's not getting the starting, and he's not doing the finishing. But in the middle, he's great.
If you push me to the pin of collar and say, well, you have to pick one of them, I would pick the winner. But I say I struggle to see any of them winning it, to be honest.
Man, never sitting on the fence, Tommy. I'll give you that.
Nope.
We'll move on to the third heat, and here Pat Buckley certainly does have one that could win the competition. Sing Along Sally. She was in drawn in trap 1. We knew she was the one to beat. Ballymac Ariel didn't qualify. And Deadly Destroyer didn't qualify. He was defending an unbeaten record in the stake. Ballymac Ariel, I say, can't wait to get out of Limerick. She just didn't seem to handle the place at all. Deadly Destroyer just wasn't meant to be the other night, missed the kick a little bit and just got squeezed into the bends. And in fairness, Bella Medina Roxy ran very well into that opening corner. She made the most of her draw. I thought she ran a blinder in defeat, but this was all about Sing Along Sally. You know, she's on the fence, and once she holds her pitch into the bend, it was good night Vienna. She does a 4.19, a 16.09, 28.21. So she makes up ground from the third bend home on Explosive Boy. She's a big player, Tommy. Certainly, if she was get trap 1 in the final, she wouldn't be a big price at all.
No, she wouldn't. She is a big player. I just think she might come up short. Then again, I'm struggling to find what's in it to beat her in some ways. Obviously, Explosive Boy, the machine, I think, will outpace her quite readily next week. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. The one, when I was talking at the start of we talked about what happened the weekend and all the action. The one I was talking about when I was saying that some of them enhance their reputation in defeat was Bella Medina Roxy or however you want to pronounce it. That was a terrific one. A lightly raced sort, as you say, Ian. I thought it showed great bravery around the first bend, great tracking ability for one, only having, I think, 6th run. She has great potential. Great potential. She's October 19 as well. You know,
she's very young. She's very young. Yeah,
she's good. I think she's extremely good. A real prospect. But Sing Along Sally is a bit more professional. I thought at the moment, Sing Along Sally was extremely impressive in the Juvenile Classic. From a tricky draw in the final, it looked a tricky draw. She flew out, and that tells me that Pat Buckley knows exactly. You know, she's a very good trapper, and Pat Buckley is knows exactly what it takes to have her peak for a final the way he did in Tralee, and that's going to be vital if she qualifies, and if Agent Stanley qualifies, and if Explosive Boy qualifies. There's going to be no quarter given going into the bend in the final.
If all those three qualify, she needs to be on the inside of them.
She absolutely needs to be on the inside, and that's why I would be taking her on now. I think Explosive Boy would get away with it more. Being off the fence, I think he get away with it because he is, as his name suggests, he is explosive. That's what he is. Whereas she didn't fly out of traps. You know, the section isn't too bad actually. She didn't fly out of traps again, and actually it was only in those last 20 yards into the line where she kind of took control into the bend. That she took control of that race. So I think she needs to improve a little bit to win it. I think she's obviously top class, and she's going to be top class down the line. She's going to compete at the top level. In bitches competitions and the whole lot, but I think at the moment, and this might be a bit harsh on her, but I think she's slightly below what's needed to win this, even though her clocks maybe don't suggest it. I think when she comes up with a bit of depth of quality in the final, I think she is going to be dependent on being in trap 1, like you said.
Yeah, Barry, what's your take on it?
Yeah, pretty much the same, to be honest with Jean. Look, obviously she has a remarkable card. She's won 5 out of 7. But she has been, she's got some great draws so far in the competition. Trap 2, Trap 1, got an absolute solo the other night, 28-21. But that's what you would expect from her. But definitely, if I owned her, I'd like to see her in the inside. She's got a great draw in next Saturday night. But I just want to see her in a race, but maybe a fast starter or two on her inside, and then I want to see what she's capable of. But look, she done it below in Tralee in the final. She flashed the boxes and had that over in a couple of strides. But look, it'll be interesting. But you definitely like to see her on the inside.
Yeah, I think Connections would be delighted with the semi-final draw. Funny, I think if you were asked to weigh up what the situation, I think she'll break better from off the fence. I think she breaks better from 2, 3, 4, but she's not always guaranteed the clear run from 2, 3, 4, even though she makes a better start. Whereas if she was in 1, she might break that little bit slower, but if she holds her pitch, she's going to go around in front of her on the pace. In a competition of this nature, with such early speed in it, the likes of the Explosive Boys of this world and Agent Stanley, I think they'll be praying again for Trap 1 if they get through to the final, because, as you said, she's not going to take a flyer and get around Explosive Boy or Mallox, or not Mallox Flyer, Agent Stanley, if they make one of their better starts. So I could see where you're coming with Sing Along Sally. At the same time, she's Trap 1 in the final. I'm not going to be dismissing her. In behind her, of course, we've mentioned Bella Medina Roxy. She really is coming forward. She's a daughter Dorota's Woohoo, who is a member of that great litter, which included the likes of Wildcat out of Cabra Roxy. So very well bred, but she really did take a step forward, lads. I think we've come to that conclusion. She's coming forward still. This is only her 6th career start the other night. Where does the ceiling come? Is it the sky's the limit, or is there a weakness?
Look, again, Sing Along Sally, as I said a minute ago, showed that little bit of injection into the first bend. Banana Medina Foxy, Roxy also showed that. Also showed the same little on the outside. She showed the lovely little injection of pace. Okay, she wasn't quite up to it, and of course she was on the outside, so it was probably a little bit more difficult for her. She's had all these wide I'm not even sure where she's drawn in the next round.
She's in 2 in the next round.
She's in 2, which is completely different for her, which will be interesting with Explosive Boy in Trap 1. It will be interesting to see how she takes the opening bend. I think she should be suited to it. She's an inside seed. I think she will be suited to it.
In theory, she might have room up the inside, because Mallows Marley did drift off from Trap 1 the last night, and Agent Stanley go up straight from 4. So she should have a bit of room, especially if Explosive Boy is gone. She could step around on the fence.
And I think Agent Stanley is going to be a bit of a buffer. You know, maybe it might be a bit of an issue to Bombardier and Ballymacmurlin qualifying, or Ballymacmurlin has a really tough draw. Bombardier is not an ideal draw. Not sure how it's going to clear Agent Stanley. Banana Medina Roxy is actually very well drawn. I think it'll suit her. I think she can qualify. Look, she has to improve again, but she's had very few runs, and I thought the run the other day was an improvement, and I think she's going to step up again. Look, I don't think she's going to win the competition, but I think she has a great chance of getting to the final. And after that, I'd say she's got a serious career. She's very, very young.
Yeah, she is very young, but she's certainly gone the right way. Vallegro was 3rd. Morris and Paula Heffernan, they've had a 3rd in the Kirby in the past with Country Legend. Vallegro just seems to be doing everything right. In fairness to him, Ballymac Ariel really put it up to him. She didn't get loose early, but she showed great pace down the back straight to challenge Vallegro. She actually headed him briefly around the 3rd and 4th bends, but he kept on digging, got there in the line and held off Ballymac Ariel in the photo finish. Vallegro, he's just one of those dogs. He just has a really strong running action. He doesn't fly to a corner, he doesn't fly down the back, and he doesn't fly home. He just does all 3 well. Can he qualify the next night? He's going to need to do things right.
I think he can qualify the next night, Ian. Do you think so, Barry?
Yeah, look, shall we see him last week as well in the great buckle down the back straight with Ballymac Ariel, and he held her that night as well. I think he's got a good draw in trap number 2, but you know he'll need to produce a good start with Ballymac Belvolt and the machine in the race. There's a lot of pace in that one.
Yeah, we did mention the 3, a couple of those that went out. Ballymac Ariel squeezed early. She didn't really get racing early. Like, she came away okay, but she just didn't. The first 3 or 4 strides were just flat. She showed great pace down the back, as you'd expect. And in fairness, she did drift off the last bend and was coming back at Vallegro on the line, beating in the photo finish. As I said, I just don't think she can wait to get out of Limerick. I just don't think she's suited by the place at all for some reason. Broke with Hope never really played a part in proceedings. He was involved in a bit of scrimmaging into the bend, and the same with Deadly Destroyer. Anything you want to say on those 3 lads?
I think you made the point last week about Ballymac Ariel and her ability to go around, and maybe when she needs it towards the end of a race. I think that was in evidence again the other night. I think, like, if you stop the race at the 3rd bend, she's a certainty to qualify.
She does tend to drift in on dogs at that point, and gets involved. That's the problem.
And it's what you said last week, and that's exactly what happened again. Because if you stop the race at the 3rd bend last week, she's certainly to finish 2nd at worst, and possibly even win the heat. And she's just not showing what she has shown previously. And maybe that's because it's Limerick and she's just not able to cope with the track properly. And when she gets back to Shelburne, we'll see it again. Hopefully we will, because we know she's phenomenally fast. What I did like, actually just didn't say about the heat, was Banana Medina Roxy actually holding Vallegro and actually maybe extending away from Vallegro down to the 3rd bend. I thought that was quite impressive. And that's one of the facets of her racing that I quite like, and give me hope for the future that she's going to be a serious bitch. I think Deadly Destroyer never involved Broke with Hope either. But Ballymac Ariel, if you want to see why she's top class, or where she's top class, when she switched outside to wide from halfway to the 3rd bend, just that injection of pace for about 50 yards. That's where you can see that she still has all the pace that she's always had. She still maintains that ability. It's just a matter of getting it out of her, and it'll probably be in Shelbourne Park, like you say.
Yeah, she needs a confidence run doesn't she? She needs a
I think
night
she
where
does.
she finds herself in front or gets around a dog and goes on and wins 3 or 4 lengths. She just needs a confidence run.
She maybe needs to go by a dog strongly at a crucial stage and maybe get a clear run after that and say, God, yes, she'll be back and she'll be breaking 28 seconds again before we know it.
Yeah. Barry, anything to say there just before we go on?
No, we'll move on, Ian.
Good man, Barry. We'll move on to the final heat. And here, well, if you were writing the report, lads, it was a nice and easy one, wasn't it? Very fast away, led all. Agent Stanley does it right. Mary Gilbert and Skippy, you know, they love us. They had a Ledger finalist last year. And by all accounts, they could easily have a Conor Kirby finalist because Agent Stanley, you know, I was well used to him in Shelbourne Park. I thought he was well exposed. I thought he had no chance down here. I thought there'd be dogs that would be running by him. But he really has come into his own in this place. Ran so well in the previous 2 nights after missing the kick somewhat by his standards. The other night he does a 4:12, matching Explosive Boy to the bend, 28:40. An awful lot to like about it. He's just an enthusiastic greyhound. He just flashed out, did everything right. Tommy, it was a fine display. Obviously, it was made easier. Mallows Marley didn't come away flying. He was always second. 1 time only, completely stumbled at boxes from trap 3. So Agent Stanley all of a sudden found himself clear on the opening bends and he made best of his way home.
In 1 time only, show unbelievable pace.
Unbelievable. We're going to get to him now in a minute, but go
on. No, the winner's early sections match up to the best, or very close to the best, and suggest that if he's in the position, if he's in a drawn, he can be a danger in the sense that he can get in the way. He needs to find a little bit extra, obviously, to win. But then again, finals aren't always won in the fastest time. It's about when it gets deeply competitive, as it normally does in a final, you need to have your position early and get make that little bit of luck in running for yourself. His sectionals the other day were 126 for 4:12. 4:12 is the same as Explosive Boy. It's a length faster than Sing Along Sally. It's from there he starts to lose it and does 28:40. He loses, relative to the very best. He's not losing it in that race. He's a really nice sort.
He's over 3 lengths slower home from the 3rd bend in Sing Along Sally.
It's quite significant. It's quite significant. He does 28:40. He's 16:03 down to the 3rd sectional, which is 8 spots slower than Explosive Boy. It's faster than Sing Along Sally, but from there home, like she does 28:21. He does 28:40. It's a significant turnaround later on.
Yeah, 25 spots in the difference. You know.
Yeah, it is significant. About 3.5 lengths. Like that sounds like we're trying to crab the dog. We're not. I think he's got a good test on next week, as we'd always expect, because he's obviously got Explosive Boy in trap 1. Explosive Boy does what he's capable of doing. Then Agent Stanley will find himself in 2nd place probably because he's going to be on the outside. That's going to cost him a length maybe, and just being on the outside of Explosive Boy. And then we'll see what he's made of. I think he's good enough to qualify. I think he is.
But needs to be foot perfect.
But needs to be foot perfect because this is a good heat. This is a really good heat. I've been on Medina Roxy, as I said, she's October. It's remarkable stuff she's doing. I think. You got Mallows Marley, who can break better than we said the other day. Missed it slightly and ran very well. Agent Stanley can't afford any mistake next week, but I think he can probably qualify. I think the 5 and 6 in that race, Bombardier and Ballymacmurlan, have the worst of the draw.
We've got about 9 qualifiers already here, Barry. What's your take on Agent Stanley? Very impressive the other night.
Definitely, he absolutely bolted from traps. And, when you come out like that in Limerick and you get around the first bend in front there, you're definitely going to be involved because it's a tough first bend. And, in front is the place to be in my book. And as you said, look, he's a ground that's improved a lot. I think he has left his Shelbourne Park form behind. He's improved considerably, and I'm sure connections are getting a great kick out of him. So nice stuff.
Yeah, no question. I'm delighted for Pat Flanagan. I've been friendly with Pat for a long number of years. He was a great pal of my father's, and I'm delighted for him and Erwin Burkmeyer to have Agent Stanley into the semi-finals. And by all accounts, I'm hoping that they get through to the final. Mallows Marley. Lads, am I right in saying this fellow's slowly coming back to his best? 28-38 winner at Clonmel in his youth. Went off the boil a little bit. I know he's only had the 14 starts, but the other night was a fine run in defeat. He just seems to be coming forward that little bit. It mightn't happen quick enough because he really is up against it next week. He's in trap 3. He's surrounded by Explosive Boy, Medina, Roxy and Agent Stanley. But he's definitely coming back to that sort of 28-38 Clonmel form. Barry, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and yourself in 28-38 around Clonmel is fairly top class run now, in fairness. He was slightly disappointing in Kilcohan Park, although he did win one night. But look, he ran a cracker on the feet, and he's sure to play a part next week.
Yeah, he's a son of a Kirby winner, Tommy. Can he follow in the footsteps of Drew Roddick?
I think the most impressive part of his race the other day was that he drove the third bend where he could have been overtaken around the inside. But just couldn't cross the hold his line, and actually flew home or finished well. Let's just say, not say flew home because the winner was coming back a bit. But I still think it was a nice performance. It is definitely, as you say, coming back to his best. Probably a little bit too late in terms of winning this competition. But then again, if you're in the final of if you're going to get to the final of a competition worth 80 grand to the winner.
Yeah,
you're quite happy.
Nothing's going to be easy at this point in this sort of competition. No. But he is the type of dog that in 4 or 5 months' time, would you be surprised if he was a contender in another classic? By another classic, I mean a Derby.
Yeah, look, probably needs to step up a little bit to do that. But then he can do that, as you said. He is. I think is this grossly unfair? Maybe the two of you might have an opinion on this. Like, Graham Holland's dog's just not maybe firing fully at the moment. Like Fabulous Azura went out the other night, but with a little bit of a whimper again. They just haven't been explosive, I think, in the last while. I thought maybe I'm entirely wrong on that. You might know.
Did you see Romeo Magico earlier in the card? Did you?
No, I did. But
Claire, it was like Claire's rocket reincarnated. It was just unbelievable. No, not that Claire's rocket's dead. He's sitting on the couch in Graham Holland's, but he's obviously been having a word with Romeo Magico.
But what I'm saying is, but Romeo Magico went out with I was kind of disappointed with the way he went out the previous week. Comes out and obviously does a 28-11 or whatever it was the other night, 28-16. I'm not surprised at that, because I thought actually he might be a winner of this competition. But I was just disappointed.
Well, he's had a couple of good winners in Shelbourne Park the other night as well. And you listen, obviously with Graham Holland, the standards are so high that when their dogs aren't absolutely firing or flying, you wonder. But at the same time, he's got, how many semi-finalists does he have? Well, he has Mallows Marley. Is that it? Am I right? Yeah, just Mallows Marley. But look at the dogs he has. He's not doing too bad in the select stakes with Nada Maestro and the like. So his dogs are going well, but as you say, perhaps not quite hitting their peak just yet. But I suppose that's part of training, isn't it, lads?
Oh, this is a big competition, obviously, right? And he hasn't had much luck in his yet. Thus far, he will. He's too good a trainer not to. But he's probably playing the long game and looking at the long game and thinking, maybe I've got Derby dogs here, and let's develop them into that. Like, let's not rush them, even though there's a temptation when the money is so big here to rush greyhounds. He's probably not going to do that, and he's going to try and develop them over the course of the season and maybe point them at the Derby. So I'm not trying to run down the kennel. I'm just saying.
You're just asking the question out loud.
I'm asking the question that a couple of them just seem to. Like, I was very disappointed with Romeo Magico the previous week. There's no point in denying that. And then he came out and do what he did the other night, which is
but a dog of his inexperience the previous night, he just got all squeezed in the middle, and he was the meat and the sandwich, and a big dog, and probably his first time ever encountering that kind of traffic. And you have to forgive him. I think he's a really, really.
He's serious.
No question about him. He should be in the top 7 or 8, maybe in the Derby betting already at this stage in his career, because the improvement this fellow could show for a longer run to the corner over 550 could be, unbelievable.
Yeah, he's serious. That's why because if you're a bit of a purist and you, like most of you want to see the best dogs advance at all the stages. That's why I was disappointed with him. I still think he loses nothing as a prospect, or what I think of him for the rest of the season. I think he's serious. But it just, even with Fabulous Azura just went out with a little bit of a whimper the other night. I felt she just missed it and just never got competitive.
I actually wrote my card. I wrote my card. Fabulous Azura looked lost early. She just looked lost when she didn't lead. I suppose she's probably finding herself in an unknown territory to a point, because she's generally had a clear run in all her races. She certainly, it was her 8th career start. I only have the 5 runs on the card here, and it's fast away, always led, quick away, always led, fast away, always led. She probably found herself behind once or twice only in her career. The other night, found herself well behind early after missing the kick, and there was sort of traffic as well. Zafiro could have crossed her, and it just didn't happen for her. Stone Park Leo ran well the other night. He made the most of an ideal draw. Zafiro diving straight in from boxes. Stone Park Leo went up around the outside in 3rd, and after that Zafiro turned 4th, but seemed to check off the second bend and just lost rapid ground very quickly, and by halfway, there was only going to be 3 qualifiers. Stone Park Leo was back in 3rd spot. Barry, he's going to need to step forward to worry the judge in a competition like this. There's no question he has a bit of foot, but he's going to have to step forward.
Yeah, definitely. Probably not the strongest of stayers either. He has some flashy sprint trials on his card, but obviously a greyhound that's very talented. But winning that all-important early lead wherever he will be lining up will be key to his chances.
Yeah, one time only, Tommy. I know you were keen to talk about him. I've written down Model stumbled, massive pace back. You know, it was the run of a dog that you go, this fella isn't finished improving yet. This is a dog that could make the leap forward in the coming months. It was seriously fast in defeat.
I loved it because oftentimes with a greyhound, if they miss it like that and then stumble, they just might give up because they know, they've lost sight of the hair. Effectively, it's gone from them. They probably can't see it with a wall of 5 greyhounds in front of them. I love the effort he put in. Absolutely loved it. He definitely enhanced his reputation for me. I know connections would be disappointed he got knocked out, but he lost nothing in defeat. He's only beaten 8 lengths, and he was at 8.5 lengths, considering that all that had happened to him. Like he should have been out with the washing. I'm going to park what I think is a fear at the moment. I'm just going to park it and forget about it for the moment, because I'm now wondering, when are we ever going to see the run? Now it is Limerick, and it's going to be, it's probably going to be in Shelburne. I think Mike Flaherty was on with us a few weeks ago, and he made the point that it'll probably be 600 yards. I'm now convinced that he's right. It's going to be at least 600. I don't think it's going to be 550. There's going to be a flashy run in there. There's going to be a big run in there. But
I don't know what to put it down to, because he seems to have his form seems to have fallen off a cliff a little bit around Limerick. I think he's another dog that needs a confidence run, and I think it'll probably come over a bit further around Shelbourne Park or somewhere like that.
Do you find yourself watching him in a race going, now he's going to pick up, now he's going to pick up, now he's going to pick up?
Particularly last week, I can forgive him for last Saturday night, just gone, because he did check off the second bend when in a pitch where he could have easily qualified behind, picking up Stone Park Leo, but just checked off the second bend, and all of a sudden the momentum's gone down the third. So I'm ignoring that run. I was disappointed with the previous night's run, but the engine's still there, but he's just not showing the same pace he showed around Tralee. I think he just needs a change of venue again, and a lot of dogs just don't handle Limerick, and I think he's probably one of them.
Barry?
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's no.
We were just checking you were still there, Barry. We thought you'd frozen.
I'll leave you at it. Yeah, look, it has been disappointing, but I'm sure, look, when he gets to Shelbourne Park, big galloping track, we'll see him deliver a big performance.
Yeah, I think, listen, there's no question that'll happen. Lads, we'll briefly take a look at the semi-finals. Of course, on Saturday night, no room for error. The first heat, Explosive Boy, Bellamedina, Roxy, Mallogs Marley, Agent Stanley, Bombardier and Ballymacmerlin. The draw very much in favour of Explosive Boy. I don't think Bellamedina Roxy's badly housed. I think she's well housed in 2, in fact. And then, it's a case of what does get the run in behind. Perhaps we were expecting Explosive Boy to lead, or does Agent Stanley really put it up to him in the early yards, Tommy?
This is absolutely ideal for Explosive Boy. Bellamedina Roxy wouldn't be a huge starter. She's not bad, no, but she's not an explosive starter. And then you've got the buffer of Agent Stanley, who's not going to be driving to the rails or anything, like, you know what I mean? So Explosive Boy has got a buffer as well as everything else. So, okay, he can miss a kick, and he does it every so often, and that's your only concern. If you're
but we are expecting him to do sub 16 seconds to the third bend.
Yeah, well, he's got to do it to the first, with Agent Stanley in the race. He's got to do it to the first bend. He can't afford to do what, say, maybe Sing Along Sally did and do 4:19. That's going to leave him in a small bit of trouble. He needs to do his 4:12 like he did the other night. He needs to do that again, because otherwise he can find himself maybe looking for a position. If there's a dog in front of him, he's thinking differently. He's looking differently at the first bend. So I think, I still think he's going to pop out. I think they're going to go neck and neck for the first 25 yards. I think he's going to assert going into the bend, and that'll be the end of that. He's got a lovely buffer then behind for Agent Stanley to maybe hold up some of the other dogs. I think Bellamedina Roxy has got a superb draw. I think he should qualify 5 and 6. Bombardier, I haven't lost faith in Bombardier. I think he's extremely fast. I just questioned the run the other night. I just can't figure it out properly. I think he's fast enough to qualify, but I just think the draw is too bad. And I think the same for Ballymacmerlin. Another dog with serious gears, but just things aren't falling right from him at the moment. He's only had the 5 or 6 runs.
So I think it'll be your 3 qualifiers.
1, 2, and either 3 or 4.
Okay, Barry.
Straightforward assignment for trap number 1. I think he'll win with a bit to spare. Agent Stanley will turn second, and I don't think there's anything that strong in behind. Obviously Bombardier is strong, but I don't think anything will pick Edge and Stanley up for second. And you're probably talking 2 or 5 for that all-important third place finish.
Yeah, I think Explosive Boy will win. I think, like Barry, I think he'll win with a bit in hand. I think he'll get tight in behind. I really do. I think all 5 have to do everything right. Bellamedina Roxy certainly has the draw, but she is going to need to hold her pitch into that corner. If she's in 4th into the back, she's not qualifying, because they're very fast greyhounds she's taking on. I don't know. I just have a sneaky feeling Ballymacmurlin might get through. I don't know how. I just, one of those, he might just start a bit better from the outside. You never know. He might just get a clear run around the outside, and, hopefully his back straight pace might carry him into a position where he'll get involved in the qualifying battle. But it's just one of those races where I think Explosive Boy will win, and the rest will fall into place. And that's what's going to happen as far as I'm concerned. So sitting on the fence there, as you can see. The next tease. Go on.
Yeah, well, Ballymacmurlin is going to make a fool of me, because he'd be the first one I'd rule out in that race.
Yeah, no, and I can see why. He's certainly probably the worst drawn dog in the race, but
probably
just be interesting to see what Bombardier does in those first 10 strides. Do you think he'll edge inwards?
There's a challenge to Liam Dowling anyway.
Do you think Bombardier will edge inwards?
Yeah, a bit, but I don't think he does. I don't think he's explosive enough early to concern Edge and Stanley. So I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Ballymacmurlin will want to go in as well. So I think it's just going to get very tight on the outside. I don't see where Ballymacmurlin is going to get a run. I just don't.
No, that's fair enough. We'll move on to the second semi-final of the Conlani Kirby Memorial. Again, we have a very well-housed greyhound in the form of Sing-Along Sally. If she does her running, she's going to be very hard to beat, because she'll be on the fence and she'll probably turn in front. But it's one of those races where if she makes any mistakes early, there's certainly 4 very strong greyhounds up against her. Vallegra, the Machine, Ballymacbelvoet and Luminous Light. She'll need to be getting around in front if she's to win this race.
The Machine race. Go on, Barry. Tell him.
She's one that I've been kind of wanting to take on, but not from trap number 1. I think she's going to get the world of room along the inside. I think Vallegra will take a step to the right early. So she has a fantastic makeup, and when you're doing 28-20 or 28-21 off the front, she's going to be hard to beat. So I think it'll be a double for trap 1.
Yeah, we're not really moving far off the sort of the beaten track. Tommy, Sing-Along Sally, you expect her to lead early and make all?
I expect the Machine to beat her. If he shows the pace that he showed last Saturday night, if he showed the pace he showed the previous Saturday night, I think he'll pick her up.
In the closing yards.
The draw isn't exactly ideal. Forward, move in a little bit, a step out a bit. But I think he's strong enough to hold his position. I think he's quite a determined dog in that sense, that he's going to hold his position early that way. If he turns third, I think he can pick her up.
It's one of those races where you won't be just looking at what's happening at the front of affairs. You'll be looking behind to see where the likes of the Machine and Ballymacbelvoet are getting their run. Yeah,
I don't fancy Stone Park Leo. I don't fancy a Luminous Light, even though it can improve. Ballymacbelvoet will want to be going straight in. I think 1, 2, and 3 will qualify here.
Barry, your 3 qualifiers?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 probably. 2 is very strong, and I think that's going to be in a prominent enough position on the inside early. But just in terms of the Machine, what kind of price would you back it at, Tommy?
In the heat?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It'll be reasonably short, I think. Yeah, he'll be second favourite, won't it?
You'd imagine he'd be clear second in, but Sing-Along Sally I think she'd be short. Will she not be odds on?
Like what? 4 to 5 evens.
Yeah, without looking at it, I haven't studied or put them down on paper, but I would have thought she'd be sort of 4 to 5, 10 to 11. Anyway,
I think he can beat her.
We can certainly beat her. We know that. He nearly picked up Explosive Boy the other night. I think 1, 3, 4 will qualify for what it's worth. Not sitting on the fence there. Whatever happens, lads, it looks like we're going to have an intriguing final. If the two early speedsters or the 2 railers, Explosive Boy and Sing-Along Sally, get through, and you pick even the 4 or 5 of the best of the remainder, it looks like it's going to be a cracking contest and one to look forward to.
What you wouldn't want is them to be both of them to qualify, Explosive Boy and Sing-Along Sally, and then be drawn 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or something, because then you're going to say there's probably going to be some sort of trouble. There's a massive advantage to being on the inner in there. If they're drawn one,
if they're drawn alongside each other, you want Sing Along Sally on the inside of Explosive Boy.
Definitely, but if they're drawn 1 and 3, there's probably no excuse, if you know what I mean. If they're just drawn that little bit apart because of the early pace they have. So you'd like, if they do both qualify, that they're just kept apart slightly.
Yeah, no problem. We'll move on to Shelbourne Park and the Shelburne Open 600 lads. Beach Avenue, what a star this fellow has been over the last few months. We always speak of versatility, but he's more than versatile nowadays. He's an absolute superstar. The run the other night was something sensational, 32 seconds, in all the history of the stake. And I know Shelbourne Park is running faster these days over the last few years, but 32 seconds for 600 yards. I remember a time when you were breaking 32 for 575 you were running. It was pretty sensational the other night. He does 13:45 home. Billy's Diva does 13:85 home. So he's 40 spots faster than the bitch from the third bend home. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's not quite as straightforward as that. But yes, it was an unbelievable performance. I'm not going to take anything from it. It was absolutely serious, and he's obviously going to take a world of beating in the final, right? Even though the draw might be a little, there might be hope for the others. Billy's Diva, who I know I've talked about too much maybe over the months, but what she did, she went to go outside the other night, and actually might have cost her a victory if she did, and then switched inside. So she made a conscious move to move out, to go around the dogs in front, and then thought, oh, this isn't going to work, and switched inside. Even that move alone is going to cost her quite a bit of time. And I thought she showed a serious turn of pace to get to the front. And even when they were coming back, and in fairness, Pierno was coming back at her, Ballymacwild was coming strongly. She just picked up that little bit again. Pierno got slightly impeded just going to the line. I think she won with probably, I think it was a lot better than 32:41 her run, but it wasn't 32 seconds. Beach Avenue was just sensational.
Yeah, Barry, obviously you've seen plenty of him. You know what an engine he has, but he just seems to have really kicked into gear the last few weeks, and Shelbourne Park really suits him down to the ground.
Yeah, it feels like we've been talking about him. Well, we probably have since the back end of last year, since the Laurels, and he's been campaigned in all the big competitions. But it looks like he's found his, just a perfect distance, 600 yards, as you said, 32 seconds on the clock. He is turning into a real remarkable greyhound, and I know connections are getting a real kick out of him. There's a great Twitter presence as well following Beach Avenue. So look, I was delighted he got the job done. It was a fabulous performance, and as you said, with his sectionals coming home, he's going to be hard to beat next week.
Yeah, he's not devoid of early. He does a 5:98 the other night. Like, he has any dog that does sub 6 seconds to the corner for the long run up is, they can run early. It just so happens that there's an awful lot of them capable of doing a similar clock, and he's going to be to the outside of 3 or 4 dogs in the bend. And we've seen over the last 2 weeks, though, especially, that he has shown track craft to stay wide when he needs to, cut in when he has to. The other night he just went around, razzled as a peaky views on rails, as I said in analysis after the race. It was just all of a sudden he was beside Peaky and gone by him. Opens up 2 at halfway, 3 at the third bend, wins 5.5, as you like. Just absolutely dreamlike. Billy's Diva, I think she'll be happier for trap 2 than trap 1. I think she probably does trap that little bit better from sort of a little bit off the fence. I know the split the other night was better than the previous week, but I do think she's probably a better trapper from 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think she'd be a lot happier if Monbeg Zinzan was in trap 1.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. Although Razzle Dazzle Peaky should stay tight to the fence, he shouldn't move out in her way, should he?
Should stay tight to the fence, but I would have thought Razzle Dazzle Peaky is capable of going up well enough. We're up in an explosive early pace. It's capable of going up well enough to kind of hold her up a bit. That's where I can have concern about her winning next week. Is that she has to clear Razzle Dazzle Peaky in the first 3 or 4 strides. Literally has to out trap him and take control of the race from there. Ballymacwild isn't showing the early pace to kind of ran well the other night. Now isn't showing the early pace to suggest that it's going to win the final. Pierno is showing the early pace and the determination and staying strongly to the line. If Beach Avenue gets a run at him, he'll outpace him, because Beach Avenue will outpace most dogs over this trip. It just seems to be absolutely tea for him. This is perfect. This is absolutely couldn't be any better. Like so. There is hope that there might be, if you want to oppose a favourite, that there might be 3 or 4 of them inside him at the bend, and he might have to check, or he might have to look and see where he can go, or whatever else, and it might just check his momentum slightly. But I'm just concerned that the one I thought could beat him, Billy Diva, I think she just might struggle a little bit to get free in the first few yards. That's key to her race. If she doesn't do that, she won't beat him. He's just far too strong.
Yeah, what's your take, Barry?
Barry's on mute.
No, you're dead right, Barry. Keep it to yourself. Just for what it's worth, Tommy, just to fill a gap, we can always talk about Ballymacwild, your favourite dog. He has yet to really hit the lids, but there's no question. There's no question still there. If he hit the lids, the pace he showed the other night, the determination, the strength he showed, he can still be a big player.
Oh, he's a seriously fast dog. The only dogs that frustrate me are the really fast ones. they really are. When they do things wrong or things don't go right for them on a consistent basis, you kind of get a little bit frustrated. I do anyway. And so, if I didn't have a lot of time for Ballymacwild, they wouldn't let him frustrate me. If I didn't have a lot of time for him as a seriously fast dog, he wouldn't. It's a bit like I feel like I've been picking on Liam Dowley's dogs recently. Great name. That is another dog that would break my heart because I know there's Derby pace in him, like, but I putting it together and piecing it together now and on a consistent basis that he can win a competition like the Derby is another thing. So it's only that they have real pace that they actually frustrate me. Billy's Diva should lead him. He's got a very tricky draw on 3, Ballymacwild, surely, hasn't he? With Pierno going to fly out as well.
Yeah,
Barry, are you back, Barry?
Yeah, my battery was on 4% there. It was going to cut off, so I had to plug in the charger.
Come on, Barry. In fairness, you were a late substitute, so we won't blame you for that, for not having your battery of 100%. Yeah. What's your take in the final quickly, because we have a couple of other things to touch on.
Yeah, I think it's made up for Beach Avenue, because I would expect Pierno to lead early, and I think that could maybe hold one or two of the other ones up, the likes of Billy's Diva, and I think Beach Avenue will be just far too strong in the closing stages. But good to see Pierno running so well as well. He was a promising sort in an unraced competition at the back end of last year. It was won by Knock by Flight, who posted a marvellous performance, making the most of the drop in class over the 575 trip in Kilcohan Park on Saturday night. So that form of that unraced stake is certainly working out well.
Yeah, there's no question Pierno was a very talented greyhound. It did stay on again the other night. It's a cracking final. Beach Avenue is clearly the dog that's in form and going to take some stopping if he gets a clear passage. But just these finals, it doesn't always happen to go to plan. I just wouldn't be surprised if Ballymacwild's played a big part in proceedings. Just looking at the prices there for that one. At the moment, Beach Avenue is a shade of odds on. You can get a bit of 10 to 11, but really you're talking the likes of 4 to 5 with Boyles and 5 to 6 Paddy Power. It's then 9 to 4. No, 2 to 1 probably best Billy's Diva, 7 to 1 Ballymacwild, and you're talking double figures the rest. Monbeg Zinzan is an insulting 50 to 1. He doesn't need all that much, luck to win a race like this, although he does need luck, there's no question about it. But 50 to 1 is not an insult to a dog of his ability. He'll be finishing as fast as, well, most of them, perhaps not Beach Avenue, but he's certainly finishing faster than the other 5.
He's got a horrific draw there, hasn't he? Like, Pierno's going to break, and Beach Avenue has a bit of early pace, as you said. Beach Avenue has actually been up on the pace and on the kind of, I think in the 2 semi-finals, it's kind of in a row with dogs in semi-final and the previous round. There were 3 or 4 of them at the bend, and actually behaved particularly well to not get trouble or not get pushed off or whatever. So I think it's a terrible draw for Monbeg Zinzan. Is any dog that's capable of winning an open class company a 50 to 1 chance? Maybe not quite 50 to 1, but then again, I wouldn't be in a rush to take the 4 to 5, and I certainly wouldn't be in a rush to take, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I might have to delete this afterwards. I wouldn't be in a rush to take the 2 to 1 Billy's Diva.
That's sacrilege, Tommy. That's sacrilege. I can't believe he's deserted, Barry. Can you believe it? We'll move on briefly. We'll just discuss a couple more. The Select Stakes, Barry, tomorrow night. It's a pretty special lineup. Listen, it's an insult to the Select Stakes by saying there's going to be some real English Derby clues on offer, but all of these dogs, a lot of them are going to be English Derby bound. But before then, there's a certain $9.5 grand to be won the Select Stakes. It's going to take some winning because some real talent there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Look, it got off to a flying start last Tuesday night. So many good performances over the course of the first round. Pat Buckley, of course, landing a double on the night, but the likes of New In Session and Native Maestro, who showed massive pace in the feet. I'm sure we'll see them featuring strongly tomorrow night. You have the likes of Skylight Blake, of course, is a greyhound that's been kept busy in recent weeks. He's featuring strongly in the greyhound and Petworld Super Sprint at Kilcohan Park. And of course, he posted a real nice performance last week. He slightly He didn't trap as well as he could, but he showed devastating early speed to take over from Deadly Samurai going down the back, and that was quite a performance, I think. Early, of course, we've seen some great performances from Deadly Samurai in Shelbourne Park. I think he had 28-15 one night, so a lot to like about that. And Dearjet Sydney as well, he totally missed the kick, but he showed massive pace to win. So it's all to play for, and some cracking racing in Kilcohan Park tomorrow night.
Yeah, indeed, Tommy. Did you take a look at them? Did you get a chance to look back at them? I was particularly taken by Native Maestro in defeat. That was a massive.
Yeah, he's a dog who never struck me that Waterford and 5-2-5 yards would be exactly what he wanted. I'd be quite honest about it, and I would have the concern about that still, even though he ran a huge race after stumbling the last day. I think it's a desperately tight competition. I don't know if you have one that you'd pick out with Barry. Like new in session as well. 5-2-5 is sharp, isn't it? For around water is particularly sharp for him. Doolin Duke ran well the last day. It's superb. It's a superb competition. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, there's a number of 550-yard dogs in there thrown against the speedsters. That's the intrigue of it all, I suppose.
I'm absolutely I'm bamboozled by it. I can't make head or tail of it because I do think a lot of these. And that's always a danger, particularly when you get to a final. Okay, there's good heats tomorrow night. You got two Mega City, Dearjet Sydney, Skywalker Barry running to see you. Like, look at those dogs inside in the one 5-2-5 yard race. Honest to God, I wouldn't like to be pricing it up, and I wouldn't like to be trying to pick the winner either.
Certainly not. Briefly, Barry, some good performances in the Super Sprint the other night. Anything really catch the eye?
Look, it's a very open competition, Ian. There's not much between them all. In fairness, I don't think they're really 330-yard dogs like the likes of Zoom. I think you've seen to better effect over slightly further. Shamer and Nate for the Kerry Raider has produced some stunning runs after kind of tardy starts, and Skylight Blake as well. He can be kind of hit or miss at the sprint traps, but look, it's a fabulous competition, and there's plenty in with a chance as we reach the semi-final stage on Saturday night. All to play for sure.
Must give a mention to the TP Weedick is on in Kilkenny on Friday night. Some good performances in the opening round. Drubby's Wyatt set the standard, but I Am's a Dream will improve for them. Robert Gleeson a strong hand by all accounts. The Puppy Oaks on Saturday night at Shelbourne Park, lads. You have to give a mention. It was one of your gang that set the standard. Burgess Cassie for JJ and Sheila, running so well out front, but some really nice types in that. Ballymac Orna and of course Magical Poppy for Pat Guilfoyle, but a couple in defeat also ran very well. So a lot to look forward to. Burgess Cassie, Tommy, I'm sure you were delighted to see them having another potential star in their hands. Yeah,
she had picked up a nice bit of experience in Newbridge and had run particularly well. I think it's nice to see them because they invest a huge amount in greyhounds and have done over the years, and they've been in greyhounds for decades and have had success. I think in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, it's stepped up considerably. I'd love to see them win a competition, but that's a hot competition again. She ran a cracker. 28:33 is a serious run, so. Has a chance. Probably we're going to have to dip even lower, maybe close to 28 seconds to win this.
Yeah, you can see a few of them just going to continue to improve over the coming weeks. Barry, they are great supporters of the game, and Burgess Cassie's a nice one.
Yeah, without a doubt. And of course, Sheila Spillane and JJ Fennelly, great supporters, obviously, of the All Track down through the years, and JJ heavily involved with the All Track Supporters Club, who have done Trojan work over the last number of years. So look, I was delighted that got the job done on Saturday night, and she's a bitch. I know we've been saying this quite a lot in these podcasts in recent times, but ideally suited to Shelbourne Park. A big galloping track. She's a real strong runner. You could see her there in the second half of the race. She was really motoring. So look, it's exciting times ahead for them. And you touched on Ballymac Orna as well. That's
I was going to get there. I knew you were going to mention this one.
I was watching. Yeah, Pat Dobbs involved with this, and Pat Cosgrave as well, another jockey. Damien Gleeson of Ardmore Greyhound Nutrition would be keeping me up to date with all this. I suppose all these greyhounds that are being purchased from Dubai. So look, great to see prominent jockeys getting involved in her. Great support, and I'll be following her progress closely as well. And Declan Byrne, he's a very talented trainer.
Yeah, building up nice team by all accounts. Lads, it's been a pleasure. We've so much to look forward to again this weekend. We're looking back on a great weekend of racing and another one coming up. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. That's it from us on Talking Dogs on a Monday. Don't forget, we'll be back next Monday highlighting and reviewing the semi-finals of the Continental Kirby. We'll also take a look back at the Shelburne Open 600, and we might touch on a few of the other competitions that are ongoing as well. But that's it for tonight. Best of luck, and we'll see you soon.